As I approach the bus, I'm going to check the level of the bus, make sure it's not tilted from on either side. I'm going to open up the engine compartment, and in the engine compartment, I'm going to want to check the oil level. So I'm going to check the oil level here. I want to make sure that the belt is in good condition, and I want to make sure that the coolant level is sufficient. I'll close up the engine compartment securely. And as I work my way around the side of the bus, I'm going to be checking for any loose wires, any fluids under the bus, any loose hoses. Okay, now I'm going to enter the bus. I want to make sure that my service door operates correctly, that there's no cracks or chips in the window, and that the molding around the window is good. I'm going to enter my bus, and I'm going to start the bus. I'm going to turn on my headlights, activate my high beams, turn on my left-hand turn signal, and activate my ambers. As I come out, I'm going to check my mirrors to make sure they're secure on both the right side and the left side. I can see my clearance lights are on, my school bus lettering is there, my ambers are flashing, my windshield is free from any cracks or chips, and the molding around the window is in good condition. My windshield wipers are secure. I'm in bus number 9. I have my left-hand turn signal, my high beams are on, my bumper is secure, my license plate is secure, and I verified the license plate number to the vehicle registration. I have a clearance light and a reflector. My driver's window's in good condition. My electrical panel is secure. As I go down the side of the bus, I'm going to be looking for any physical damage on the bus. I'll be checking the windows for any cracks or chips. Also be looking at the rub rails and the rivets on the bus. I'm in bus number 9. I have a left-hand turn signal. My tire guard is secure. My mud flap is secure. The tire is inflated. I should have at least 4/32 of an inch of tread depth on the tire. I'm looking for any cuts, cracks, abrasions, or bulges on the tire. I'm looking for any cracks or dents in the rim. I have my valve stem here. My lug nuts and my hub nuts are secure. My hub seal is intact. I have no excess grease leaking from the hub. I'm going to continue to look at the bus for any physical damage. This compartment is secure. I have my school district lettering. This compartment is secure. I have a CNG shutoff valve that's located between the frame rails. I have my California Motor Carrier identification number, 50796. A clearance light with a reflector. This compartment is secure. I have an emergency exit door with instructions on how to open it. I'm going to open this door. I can hear my audible. I'm going to verify that it locks in the open position. I have my overhead padding here. This seat goes down and retracts. I have my weather strippings in good condition. The window's free from any cracks or chips, and the molding's in good condition. The emergency exit is clearly labeled with instructions, and the interior hardware works properly. Here I have a fuel fill. I'll open this up. I want to make sure it's capped, and I can see I'm at 2,800 pounds of pressure. And we run on compressed natural gas. Here I have a left-hand turn signal. My tire guard is secure. My mud flap is secure. My tires are inflated. There is no debris located between the tires. I should have at least 2/32 of an inch of tread depth on my rear tires. I'm looking for any cuts, cracks, abrasions, or bulges on this tire. There's a little rubbing here, but nothing significant. I'm looking for any cracks or dents in the rim. I have my interior valve stem here, my exterior valve stem here. My lug nuts and my hub nuts are secure, and my hub seal's intact. There's no excess grease leaking from that hub. My side engine compartment is secure, and I have a clearance light with a reflector. As I come to the back of the bus, I can see my clearance lights are on, and my school bus lettering, emergency exit lettering. My ambers are flashing. The emergency exit window is free from any cracks or chips, and the molding around the window is in good condition. I'll open up the emergency exit. I hear an audible, and I have my weather stripping is in good condition. I'll close that back up. I have my left-hand turn signal, my 4 tail lights, bus number 9, a right and left reflector, stop when red lights flash lettering. I have my license plate is secure, my bumper is secure, and my tailpipe is secure, and it is flush with the bumper. As I come around to this side of the bus, I can see I have a clearance light and a reflector. And as I go down the side of the bus, I'm going to be looking for any physical damage to the bus. I'm going to be checking the windows for any cracks or chips. Again, I'm going to be looking at the rub rails and the rivets. Here I have an side engine compartment that's secure. My battery compartment is secure. I have an emergency exit door with instructions on how to open it. The window's in good condition, as is the molding. I'm going to open this door. I have my overhead padding. The seat comes down and retracts back up. The weather stripping's in good condition. The emergency exit's clearly labeled from the inside with instructions, and the hardware works from the inside. I'm going to continue to look for any physical damage to the bus. I have my tire guard is secure. My mud flap is secure. My tires are inflated. There is no debris between the tires. I should have at least 2/32 of an inch of tread depth on the tires. The tire should be free of any cuts, cracks, abrasions, or bulges. The rim should be free from any cracks or dents. I have a valve stem here and a valve stem here. My lug nuts and my hub nuts are all secure, and the hub seal's intact. There's no excess grease leaking from the hub. And if I look through here, I can see that my drive shaft guard is in place. Again, I'm going to continue to look at the windows, the rub rails, and the rivets. I have another fuel fill here with my manual shutoff valve. I can see my manual shutoff valve is in the on position, and that this is registering 1,600 pounds of pressure, and it is capped. As I continue to go down the side of the bus, here I've got my school district lettering. This compartment is secure. I have a clearance light with a reflector, my California Motor Carrier ID number, 50796. Here I have that compartment is secure. I have a CNG shutoff valve that's located between the frame rails. This cargo compartment is secure. I'm in bus number 9. My tire guard's secure. Mud flap is secure. Tires inflated. I should have at least 4/32 of an inch of tread depth. I'm looking for any cuts, cracks, abrasions, or bulges on the tire. Any cracks or dents in the rim. I have a valve stem here. My lug nuts and my hub nuts are all secure. My hub seal's intact. I have no excess grease from the hub. I have a clearance light and a reflector. And I'm busted. Now I'll enter the bus. I'll make sure that I have an audible and visual for my side emergency exit. I'm going to restart the bus. I'm going to turn off my high beams, activate my right-hand turn signal, and activate my reds. I'm going to close this door. I'm going to make sure I have head bumper here. My modesty panel is secure, my handrail is secure, and the stairwell is free from any debris, and my stairwell light is operating correctly. And back to the front of the bus, I want to make sure that my reds are flashing, that I have my right-hand turn signal, and that my low beams are on. As I come down this side of the bus, I'll close this emergency exit to shut the alarm off. I can see that my stop sign is fully deployed. All 4 lights are flashing, and the unit is secured to the bus. As I come to the back of the bus, I can see that the reds are flashing. I have my right-hand turn signal, and at this time I'm going to open up the rear emergency exit. As I come down the right side of the bus, I'll make sure that my right-hand turn signals are operable. Okay, as I come on the bus, I can see that I have my audible and visual alarm for my rear emergency exit. I'm going to cancel my right-hand turn signal. I'm going to activate my hazard lights. I'm going to turn off my reds, and then I'm going to chalk my brake using the seat. I'm going to put the bus in reverse. I'm going to turn the bus off, turn it back on. Now I'm going to open up the back emergency window, and I can see that my 2 hazard lights are flashing. I have my 4 brake lights are on. my reverse lights and my reverse alarm are on. And then I'll close this to shut off my audible alarm for that emergency exit. I'm going to open this emergency exit to make sure it opens from the inside, and I can also see both my hazard lights on the right hand side. I'm going to open this window here, and I can see both my left hazards. I'm going to check the bottoms of the seats, make sure they're secure. I'm also going to be checking the floor to make sure there's no damage to the floor. I want to make sure that there's no bolts missing on the floor. I'm going to open this just to make sure that it opens from the inside. And I'm going to continue to check the seats, make sure they're secure, as well as the bolts, and make sure there's no damage to the floor. I have my audible and my visual for my right side emergency exit. I'm going to put the bus in neutral. I'm going to release the chock on the brake. I'm going to restart my bus. And then I'm going to go back and close that emergency exit. I have an overhead emergency exit here. I'm going to open that. The emergency exit's clearly labeled. I'm going to check it for an audible and visual. I have my audible and visual alarm. I'll come back and close that overhead. And I'll check this overhead. Emergency exit clearly labeled. I have my audible and visual. I'll also check 2 windows each day. I want to make sure the windows go all the way down and all the way back up. I'll check 1 on each side and I'll rotate them daily. And I'll check 2 seat belts each day, 1 on each side. I want to make sure the seat belt is not torn or damaged, that it latches and unlatches. And I'll rotate those daily. Now I'm going to do my driver's compartment. I have my handheld stop sign. The driver's seat is secure. I have my seat belt. It's not torn or damaged. I want to make sure it latches and unlatches properly. I have my fan is secure, my visor is secure and works properly, my interior student mirror works properly. This fan is secure. My windshield is free from any cracks or chips. The molding around the window is good, and there's nothing blocking my line of sight. I have my driver's window. Opens and closes properly. I have my 4 required mirrors. I have my left flat that allows me to see 200 feet behind the bus, and the bus occupies no more than 1 inch of the mirror. My right flat mirror allows me to see 200 feet behind the bus, and the bus occupies no more than 1 inch of the mirror. I have my cross view mirrors that allow me to see the hazard areas in front of the bus and along the sides. And I have my interior student mirror that allows me to see the top of each seat, all emergency exits, and 200 feet behind me. Over here I have my emergency audible and visual alarm for the emergency exits. I have my front passenger lights, my rear passenger lights, and my driver's overhead light. I have my noise suppression system that shuts off all noise in the bus. I have my fans on low and high and off. I have my light switch, my high idle that brings up the RPMs on the bus, my panel dimmer switch, my mirror defroster. These allow me to adjust my mirrors, both the right and the left mirror. I have my analog air pressure gauges, my speedometer, my tachometer, my odometer. I have my temperature gauge, which should be between 180 and 210. My oil pressure should be between 30 and 60. My fuel should be at no less than half before I leave the yard each day. And my voltage meter should be between 12 and 14. Okay. This is our warning bank. We have our left turn signal, our right turn signal, our parking brake, our service brake, our high beams, our brake pressure, check transmission, anti-lock braking system, transmission check, hydraulic fluid temperature, stopped engine, engine retarder, low coolant level, range inhibit, engine warning light, high exhaust temperature, maintenance indicator light, and the wait to start light. I have my parking brake, my transmission selector, my air conditioner units. I have my heat pump for my heat low and high. I have my 8-way lights, my ambers and my reds, my service door open and close, my AM/FM radio. I have my defroster, and I can tell that my defroster is working properly. I have my heat control switch. I have my driver's heat switch, my fresh or recirculated air, my 2-way radio. I have my intercom system, my ignition switch, my throttle, my steering wheel, no more than 2 inches of play, my electric horn, my air horn, my right and left turn signals, my hazard lights. I also have my wipers and washers. I want to make sure that they work on low and high. I also have my tilt and telescopic, tilt and telescopic. Okay, I'm going to begin with my governor cut in. I'm going to draw air out of my tanks, and I'm going to determine when my governor activates my compressor in order to maintain the pressure in my tanks, and that should occur at no less than 85 pounds of pressure. And I believe it's cut in. I'm going to turn on my high idle and verify that my air pressure gauges begin to rise. I can see that they are rising. So again, the governor cut in was activated at no less than 85 pounds. Now I'm going to listen for my governor to cut out, and my governor should cut out at no more than 130 pounds so I don't overpressurize my tanks. And the governor will turn off my compressor, and it has occurred at 122 pounds of pressure. Okay, I've turned off my ignition and turned back on my instrument panel. I'm going to bring back up my digital gauges. I'm going to allow the tanks to settle. I'll monitor them for 1 minute. And this is my static test. I should not lose more than 2 pounds of pressure in 60 seconds. And during this time, I'm listening for any leaks in my lines, my tanks, and my one-way check valves, of which I have 2. I have 1 in my front tank and 1 in my rear tank. Okay, we're going to assume that the minute is up. I've lost no air pressure, and that is a good test. Now I'm going to do my applied brake test. I'm going to apply my service brake, release my parking brake. I'll move over to my analog gauges here. And during this test, I'll monitor the gauges for 1 minute, and I should not lose more than 3 pounds of pressure in 60 seconds. I'm going to continue to listen for any leaks in my lines, my tanks, and my one-way check valves. But now that my entire brake system is pressurized, I'm listening for any leaks in my 6 brake chambers. I have 2 in front, 2 in the rear, and 2 in my spring brake. And again, we'll assume that 60 seconds is up. I've lost no air pressure. I'm going to reapply my parking brake and release my service. Now I'm going to do my split tank, and I'm going to begin by removing the air from my front tank. And I should receive a low air pressure warning at no less than 60 pounds of pressure, and I should have both an audible and visual warning. I received my audible and visual low air pressure warning at 65 pounds of pressure. I can see that my two-way check valve has slid over and is protecting the air in the rear tank. I have no air loss in that rear tank. I'm going to continue to allow the air to deplete from my front tank. Once the air is depleted, I'm going to start my bus. I'm going to put it in gear. I'm going to release my parking brake. I'm going to move it forward. I'm going to stop the bus, and I'll have brakes in the rear. Okay, now that the air has been depleted from the front tank, I'm going to start my bus. I'm going to put the bus in gear. I'm going to release my parking brake. I'm going to move the bus forward, and I'm going to apply the brake, and my rear brakes have stopped the bus. So now that we've done the front air, what we're going to do is we're going to build back up the air in both tanks, and I'm going to do my emergency equipment. I'm going to begin with my CHP 292 inspection certificate. This bus was last inspected on September 20th of 2017. It's good for 13 months, so it's good until October 20th of this year. I can accommodate 78 passengers in seats, no wheelchairs. My VIN number of 43163 matches that on my vehicle registration. It also matches that on the body of the bus, 43163. Up here I have my emergency equipment, my first aid kit, my warning devices, and my fire extinguisher. I'll begin with my first aid kit. My first aid kit. I can see that the weather stripping's in good condition. There's no dust or moisture in the box. I should have 24 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. In here I have my accident investigation packet. Here I have my proof of California insurance, which is good until July 1st of 2018. I have my fire extinguisher. On my fire extinguisher, I have the year tag holding the pin in place. It is fully charged, it's in the green. My state fire marshal's inspection tag indicates it was last inspected August 1st of 2017. It's good for 1 year. There's no debris in the hose, and this needs to be at least an 8 BC, and this is a 40 BC unit. I have 3 roadside triangular reflectors that I check each day. For the purpose of today's test, I'll check just one. I want to make sure it's not broken or damaged, that it stands up correctly, and that there's no loss of any of the weighting material in the base of the unit. And again, I will check all 3 each day. And now that my air tanks are replenished, I'll continue with my brake test. Now I'm going to continue with my brake test. I'm going to release the air from my rear tank so that I can check my emergency stopping system. As my rear tank begins to deplete, I'm going to listen for my audible and my visual low air pressure warning, which should come on at no less than 60 pounds of pressure. I have my audible and visual warning at 65 pounds. I can see that my two-way check valve is slid over and it's protected all the air in the front tank. I'm going to continue to allow the air to drain down so that there's no pressure in the rear tank. Then I'm going to start my bus, put it in gear, release my parking brake. I'm going to move the bus. I'll have front brakes, but I'll also have a release of air from my spring brake, allowing me to brake at all 4 wheels, and that will demonstrate my emergency stopping system. Okay, now that the rear air has been depleted, I'm going to start my bus. I'm going to put the bus in gear. I'm going to release my parking brake. I'm going to move the bus, and then I'll apply my service brake, and I'll hear a release of air. That air being released was from my spring brake, and that activates my emergency stopping system so that I have brakes at all 4 wheels. Now I'll begin to bring back up the pressure in the tanks. Once the air pressure is back up to a minimum of 100 pounds in both tanks, I'll do my parking brake test, in which I'll put the bus in gear, I'll release the parking brake, step off the service brake, and then pull the parking brake to ensure that the parking brake stops the bus. I'll also do 2 brake stops before I pick up any students to ensure the alignment of the brakes. And then lastly, my service brake activates my emergency stopping system. And that completes the pre-trip. Now that the pre-trip inspection of the bus is completed, we're prepared to safely pick up and transport your students at the Desert Sands Unified School District.